What's going on, guys? I'm your boy, The Flight Mike, here with...
Your boy, Mike Korzempa.
Your boy, Get Like Coop.
And this is the Laced Up Podcast.
We're your boys.
Yeah, the boys are here.
The
All right,
boys.
and we are here to talk some NBA, of course. And I think we just jump right into this, right? Because I think this is the hot rumor that's going around right now. We've been talking about this. We've been talking about what are the Golden State Warriors going to do this offseason, because I think all three of us agree that we think they're in win now mode. Let's keep Steph Curry now mode. And so according to John Hollinger of The Athletic, so here's the exact quote. We have Golden State assured itself of an additional first-round pick when Minnesota failed to land in the top 3 on the lottery night. The Warriors now have the 7th and 14th pick, plus last year's 2nd overall pick, James Wiseman. And there is widespread expectation that the Warriors will use number 7 and Wiseman in particular to seek more immediate upgrades on their roster. One name to watch, Pascal Siakam. Guys, what are our thoughts on that? Because that is huge. I'll jump in last, but I mean, I kind of love that.
You love Pascal Siakam to the Warriors?
I think in terms of out of the names that are being thrown around that are actually available, I think that probably makes the most sense that I've actually heard.
So right now, we really think that Pascal Siakam is available for what the Warriors have to offer, or just is available, period, because I actually like the Warriors package.
Yeah, that's a good question. However, if we're being honest, we don't have these inside sources, so we kind of have to go off of guys like John Hollinger, who have been doing this for forever. The Athletic is a very reputable source. I love The Athletic. And so, we're hearing one name to watch is Pascal Siakam, and he's been popping up, I think, in trade rumors a bit because the Toronto Raptors are in an interesting place. They have a good draft pick this year, and they also have Pascal Siakam, who, are you deciding, he's 27 years old. Him and Fred VanVleet, if the Raptors decide to blow this up, if they decide that they want to, create a potential young team that is, building together and growing together, I think it's very possible that they trade Pascal.
I'm kind of shocked that I don't see Andrew Wiggins anywhere in this rumor, because if I'm Andrew Wiggins, and I'm seeing this situation, a part of me is like, beating my chest, begging the Warriors to trade me to Toronto. I think that's like one thing that is being omitted, because you kind of have to in order to make the cap space work with James Wiseman.
Yeah.
So I think it's kind of like the underrated part of the story that makes this rumor so cool, in my opinion, is the fact that Andrew Wiggins is originally from Toronto. And we've seen players go back to their hometowns. Well, I don't know if Victor Oladipo's from Indiana, but he played for Indiana when in college, and just absolutely turn their careers around. So it'd be cool to see Andrew Wiggins do something kind of similar. Maybe he takes that step that he needs. Like, maybe he could be that number 1 guy for the Toronto Raptors. Maybe Nick Nurse could get what he needs out of him. But the thing is, I don't know if I would part with James Wiseman and a number 7 pick and Andrew Wiggins for Pascal Siakam. It seems like a lot to give up, at least from where I stand, especially because you don't know what you're getting in James Wiseman yet. A lot of people are hating on James Wiseman because he didn't come out and absolutely dominate, but I don't remember the last time a 19-year-old big man came out and dominated in the NBA. Kevin Garnett averaged like 11 points per game when he was 19 in the NBA. Kobe Bryant isn't a big man, but he didn't dominate until his 3rd year in the NBA. So you don't know what you're getting in James Wiseman, and you could be selling on him too soon. So I think they could get a bigger get than Pascal Siakam, in my opinion. Yeah, so guys, we are capping off the giveaway to the first 40,000 subscribers that turn on our notifications for the Laced Up Podcast. All you have to do to enter for a chance to win a PlayStation 5 or an Xbox Series X is subscribe, hit that notification bell. If you want to do us a favor, leave a like on the pod and let me know in the comment section down below when it's done. You'll enter for a chance to win a PlayStation 5 or an Xbox Series X.
All right, so I don't know about that. I don't know if they can get a bigger get. If you're a Warriors fan, you're hopeful that they can do better than Siakam. But it's easy to forget that a lot of people expected Siakam to take an MVP leap this year. And like you said, they don't know what they're getting with James Wiseman. And that's also part of the problem. If you have Stephen Curry, do you want to wait a few years and find out? We don't know how long it could take Wiseman to finally unlock his potential. After all, this guy came in the league under 20 years old. So it could take 3, it could take 4, it could take even 5 years. Yeah, Wiseman could end up being a Hall of Famer. I mean, at the end of the day, you never know. But does Stephen Curry have that type of time? And with Stephen Curry's contract coming up, if you're the Warriors, is that a risk that you want to take?
Yeah, you make a very valid point. I'll tell you something else I really like about this trade, this potential trade, is Siakam and Draymond kind of could play a similar role in the offense, in the sense that they're players that could create in the open floor despite technically being modern NBA big men. So having them both on the floor at the same time, those fast breaks for the Warriors and the pace that they could potentially run at would be very, very fun to watch. I personally think, call me a delusional Laker fan or call me one of those guys, but I do think they could get someone like a Bradley Beal, or if Damian Lillard gets frustrated enough, I think they could pull off a trade for Damian Lillard. So that's my only reservation about this. I would put like Pascal Siakam probably on like 3rd or 4th on my wish list after like trying for those other players that I mentioned.
Yeah, but all right. So first of all, I love how you did mention Mike. Maple Jordan. We are going to get Maple Jordan potentially back if we get Andrew Wiggins over to Canada, which, I mean, if anyone doesn't know who's listening, at one point in time, Andrew Wiggins' nickname was literally Maple Jordan, and that exactly did not pan out, but I would love to see it. I mean, end of the day, Andrew Wiggins hasn't really proven to me to be the type of leader that you want your young guys, I don't think he's that kind of guy. He hasn't proven to be. Maybe he'll step up and be one, but I think this trade makes a lot of sense from both perspectives with both timelines. Like Coop said, the Warriors are in win now mode. I'm not risking anything with Steph Curry. In terms of Damian Lillard and Bradley Beal, both of those guys, I think are better players than Pascal. I'm interested in the fit with both of those guys, especially defensively, especially they're both ball dominant guys. When you get Pascal out there, remember, just like Coop said, people thought that he was going to take MVP, he was going to take a leap. Even if it wasn't MVP, he was an all-star in 2020 at the age of 25 to 26, around there. Now this year he's technically, he is 27, if I'm not mistaken. Why can I not?
Yeah, he's 27. He's 27.
Yeah, he's 27. He just turned 27. So he'll just turn 28 for next year's playoffs. Okay. So when Pascal was playing with Kawhi Leonard, which I think is very important here to keep in mind, the man was great. He was just an awesome complimentary player to their superstar. That team was Kawhi Leonard's team. The Golden State Warriors are Steph Curry's team, of course, and you've got a veteran leader like Draymond to come in and, help Pascal with his defense, help him out with that. And like Mike previously mentioned, I do like, Pascal and Draymond, they're kind of like interchangeable in a little bit of a way where it's like, now you got two guys that they're playing the 5 and the 4 at the same time, you're running like, very interesting offensive sets. You're switching on defense in very versatile way that I like to see the NBA, going like with James Wiseman. Sure. Is there potential that he becomes a Hall of Famer? Is there potential that 2 years from now, we're watching him emerge into what DeAndre Ayton's becoming, where it's like, okay, DeAndre Ayton's been incredible for the Suns. Yes. But there's also the same potential. The Cavaliers went and traded away the first overall pick. They traded away Andrew Wiggins when Andrew Wiggins had so much hype, and they were able to get Kevin Love, who again was a huge all-star level talent at the time. Didn't exactly pan out fully like they wanted, but ended up winning, championship in Cleveland with Kevin Love. So that's the risk that you take when you trade a high level top prospect. Yeah, sometimes they're going to pan out and sometimes they're not. However, with Pascal, I think that you have a guy that is able to get you, 20 points, is going to be able to fit in with your system. I would be really excited about that trade, and I think that would launch the Warriors. As long as they have a healthy Klay Thompson, we're going to see. That's a whole thing. Klay has been posting pictures of him being healthy. I'm very excited, but both Klay, Warriors front office, they've said, we're going to take our time with Klay. We're waiting for him to be fully healthy, for him to really come back. So if Klay is at least 80% Klay, maybe come the playoffs, then yeah, I think they're right back to being championship contenders with that roster.
Okay, so Pascal Siakam, without a doubt, makes the Warriors a better team. I'm not going to argue that. You guys said that Siakam and Draymond are interchangeable, but do their skill sets start to overlap a little bit? And that's my concern with the Pascal Siakam fit with the Golden State Warriors. When you're giving up a package like they would be giving up to acquire Siakam, you want somebody that's kind of going to fit in like a puzzle piece. Siakam this past season shot 31% on catch and shoot threes. Obviously, he's going to be a major upgrade for the Warriors, but with this team, I think you want more spacing. But of course, I'm not going to be mad at the Warriors getting more NBA high-level talent guys at the end of the day.
That's a good point.
Ahead,
I was just saying it's a good point. However, I would like to see if this season was a little bit of an aberration and we go back more towards his normal shooting numbers, where I don't have his catch and shoot numbers right off the top of my screen.
So last season he shot 36% on catch and shoot threes, 34% on pull-ups.
Are you talking about 2020 or 2021 now?
2019 to 2020 he shot.
Yeah, so he shot like a little bit. So
he shot
like
36%.
And the year before that, I think he was around that.
He shot 38.
Well.
Yeah, he shot 38
the year before. That's what I'm saying. So last year he regressed, which, again, I mean, that could go either way. Does he come back to where he was shooting? I think with the floor spacing that the Warriors provide, I think, he probably still would get back to that 36 to 38%.
I agree with you there, but I feel like sometimes that just adds more pressure for players who are not great shooters. I don't think Pascal Siakam is in the league to be a catch and shoot guy. So that role can be a little tough for players that weren't necessarily built for that type of role.
I agree with that, but my counter to that is I don't think they're looking at him to necessarily be a catch and shoot guy, like as a primary part of what he's contributing to the team. I think it's more of like, you can't leave that guy wide open. Like, you have to guard him. Like he will make you pay.
Yeah, I don't expect him to be
completely wide open.
I don't expect him to be a catch and shoot guy either, but there's going to be times where that's going to be his role. And if he's not knocking those shots down consistently, teams are just going to be like, hey, we're going to let Draymond shoot, but now we're also letting Pascal shoot.
I think he's good enough off the dribble where he is able to, they swing the ball to him and he could catch an attack, and it makes things way more difficult. I think it's a different situation than, if you have a role player in that role where he just literally cannot shoot and they can't attack off the dribble and score with the way Pascal is. And Pascal also does have championship experience where he has succeeded on the biggest level, which I do think matters definitely come playoff time. If you go back to, game 6, was it, right, in the NBA Finals when they closed it out, the Raptors, Pascal made a few huge plays at the end of that game. Like, he absolutely was a huge part of them closing out that win.
Regardless, you have to also think that those Golden State Warriors championship teams typically featured a traditional center, like a player like Andrew Bogut, or even, I don't think they won a championship with Zaza as their starting center, but like they didn't really ever have a starting center that could stretch the floor if they wanted to. In Pascal, you not only get a player that you have to respect his jump shot, but you also get a player that could kind of take some of the playmaking load off of Draymond Green, another player that you do have to account for, while also having to worry about Steph Curry and Klay Thompson running like rampant around screens. So I do think it's like, in terms of fit, it's probably the best player the Golden State Warriors can get. And then if you account for his age, Draymond Green is getting up there in age. He's going to be 32. He's going to turn 32 next year. And bear in mind, he shot 27% from three, and he shot this past year, and probably the last time he shot 30% from three was the 2017 to 2018 season. So I don't know. Regardless, I think Pascal Siakam would make the Golden State Warriors significantly better, if not one of the top 3 teams in the West, assuming Klay Thompson comes back like 60% of what he once was.
So no doubt Siakam improves the team. And to add to what you said about them not needing a traditional center, of course they don't. They're the Warriors. They were 15-5 when Wiseman went out. That's why, we got to look to trade Wiseman. You can look that up. The Warriors were 15-5 without Wiseman, so they were significantly better. Siakam coming in and being a league average player would make them significantly better. I mean, we've seen what this team can do going small. So, obviously I love that for them. But, just again, my thing would be, I think there may be better players. Like, so you're saying you'd like Siakam over Bradley Beal possibly going to the Warriors?
It's kind of hard because Korzemba makes a very good point in terms of fit and in terms of defense. What does that do to the Golden State Warriors? It really also depends on what version of Klay Thompson you're going to get back next year. I personally, probably my boldest hypothesis in terms of what could happen to Klay Thompson moving forward is that those injuries catch up to him so much so that he may need to be like a 25 minutes per game type of player. So in that instance, then it does make sense for them to acquire a player like Bradley Beal. But that's a pretty big if. We've never seen a player in Klay Thompson's situation, a player that isn't really necessarily dependent on his athleticism, who primarily makes his living off of being a remarkable shooter, that tore his ACL and Achilles. The only thing we've seen close to that is what happened to DeMarcus Cousins. And, well, DeMarcus Cousins is a completely different position in the NBA. So it's really hard to say which would make them better because a lot of it is on Klay Thompson's shoulders.
Yeah, there's definitely question marks there for sure. And I mean, also with the Wizards, we still have to kind of see what they are willing to do. Like, are they willing to trade Bradley Beal? Like, because in that instance, that means they're also, completely blowing up their roster. They're going for next year's draft. Then they're probably look to see if they can move Russ as well. So, I mean, I just think honestly, I just saw the Siakam thing, and I was just like, wow, that makes sense. And I'm kind of surprised that it wasn't talked about more until it got brought up by John Hollinger and The Athletic. Like, I was like, the Raptors have the chance. They just won a championship. So their fans, are definitely giving them a little more leeway in terms of like, okay, we're willing to embrace a young team and, build with them. Like, it's not like they're I don't want to throw shots, but I guess I will. Like, Sacramento Kings or Orlando Magic or something like that, where you have teams that just have been bad. And, the guys are like, your fans are like, okay, I'm sick of this third rebuild where you're telling me, this guy is finally the savior of our franchise, or this guy. Raptors fans, I think, are happy. And also, I think especially with the way the Raptors played last season, like, if I were them, I would be looking to, move on and, I'd blow it up. That's what I would do, because the Raptors, we're talking about Pascal Siakam was supposed to be an MVP type player, at least all NBA type. People thought he was taking that leap for sure. The Raptors were definitely not expected to miss the playoffs this season. People had them in the playoffs and they underperformed.
I mean, this is also a team that's expected to blow it up. They have they have the 4th pick in the NBA draft this year. It's like, you're probably going to move on from Kyle Lowry as well. Might even potentially, maybe even consider trading Fred VanVleet depending on who they draft.
I think if you can get a good piece for VanVleet, then you move him. But I think with that situation, you kind of just let it play out. Because let's say you get a guy like Jalen Suggs, or, you get Jalen Green or someone like that, then, VanVleet maybe plays the veteran role a little. He's not crazy old. I think he's also 27. Yes, he's also 27. He's on a pretty good contract. He's making $19.6 million a year next year, 21 the year after, 22 million player option. It's not like he's on a $40 million contract that you can't move. So with that, I would be cautious if I was the Raptors. I would, if I got the right deal, then sure. but also like Van Vliet at least gives you a somewhat winning player where your team isn't terrible.
I love Van Fleet. I love Van Fleet for one. But also, I just want to say this. This will be my last take on the topic. If I'm the Warriors with Clay's question marks, give me shooting. We've seen what this team can do with shooting. We've seen what teams do in the regular season with shooting the basketball. Don't try to complicate things with Siakam. We know what he brings to the table, but there's going to be an overlap with Draymond. I would obviously love Steph with another playmaker, but I think Bradley Beal just being like, was Bradley Beal the scoring leader this year? Or did he come in second? Whatever he did. Having the second best scorer in the NBA statistically, on your team is just a massive upgrade for whatever Steph Curry's been playing with. Give Steph Curry more space to create. It'll give Steph Curry more space to do a lot of things. I just take Bradley Beal, but that's also if Bradley Beal even became available.
I can for sure agree with you on that. I think I would say I would take Bradley Beal if he is available over Siakam.
Yeah.
However, if you reach out and Bradley Beal is just a no-go, they don't want that package, then you switch it up.
And then if Siakam just goes cold from the 3-point line, like what's his value to the Warriors? I mean, he'd be such an overlap with Draymond Green. I just wouldn't be able.
I mean, I think we should jump to a new topic because we haven't talked about this for a while. But I think that like the overlap is a little bit being overplayed here because you've got guys like the Hawks and we're watching like the Clippers and stuff. They got a lot of guys that have a lot of similar abilities and like that has worked out to their favor. Like I think you can make that work out to your favor in a lot.
But it's not like it's like two non-shooters. That's my thing.
Again, yeah. So that means that Siakam shooting would be definitely called into question a bit. But I also think when you play with Steph Curry, you're going to be getting way more wide open shots than you've ever gotten in your life, probably.
That's true. So to move on to our next topic, we have Donovan Mitchell and Dwayne Wade. I have this quote from the NBA Central on Twitter from Brian Windhorst that says, I think Dwayne Wade is seriously concerned about Donovan Mitchell's desire to stay in Utah long term. If we look at Utah's 21-22 cap space, there's going to be a lot of roster movement. They're going to be missing a lot of players. Do you guys think that there is a possibility that Donovan Mitchell is looking to go elsewhere long term?
Here's the thing. I am loving this new trend where it's like my favorite new trend probably, where like all these analysts and all these sources are like, okay, we the next wave of like the old wave of stars are out the door. Like you're seeing LeBron James starting to age a little bit more. You're seeing Kevin Durant. He is going to be staying in Brooklyn for the foreseeable future. Oh man, like who can we make rumors about? How about we make rumors about players that can't leave until 2026? Like it doesn't really even it doesn't even matter. Donovan Mitchell is still on his rookie scale contract. Like this is a situation. We saw this happen with Luka Doncic as well about a week ago.
Okay, I think there's something there. That's like you can't say there's nothing there. Like I'm a Pelicans fan too. This happened with the Pelicans. I think there's something there with Zion too. Yeah, unfortunately,
you think so?
Yeah, I think there's something there, especially with the Luka situation. That thing's an absolute mess in Dallas. I think we haven't got the half of what's going on.
If for any of this to happen, there needs to be basically a guy that's going to be a trailblazer and not a Portland trailblazer. Like a guy that blazes the trail.
But that's what we've been seeing recently.
No, that's what I'm saying, though. But it's going to take one guy that's going to have to step up and be like, hey, I'm willing to take that player option and just take that and accept take your early contract termination option, whatever it's exactly called, because you get paid significantly less money, like probably 1/3, I think, around. So it will take that guy. I'm not saying it's not going to happen. I'm just saying until it happens, like it's situations like this where it is like, Donovan Mitchell, is 24, about to turn 25 years old. it makes no sense for the Jazz to move on for him. Who are the Utah Jazz?
No, no. The concern isn't about the Jazz wanting to keep him. It's
but so it's like if
him.
I'm the Jazz, I'm like, dude, you're signed till 2025. Like you're not. It's not even like you're a year
I don't
or
think
two,
Mitchell is that type of guy either to completely bring down a locker room. But if you go back to just like last season with what happened with Rudy Gobert, that was kind of wild. And at that time, like we could definitely see the team breaking apart. And then the Jazz are somewhat of an, I don't want to say like old, but they were a team with a ton of vets. They don't have a lot of young talent. I'm not sure who's going to want to go to play in Utah. I'm not sure what avenues they have to getting better. And Mitchell has tasted success. He's not going to be somebody that, strikes me as wanting to settle for less, especially when he's been so good so early in his career.
Maybe this is a smokescreen, though. Maybe this is like this happens where, Mitchell puts this out, or we don't really know. Maybe he does not like Rudy Gobert still. Like he strictly basically said, I don't like this guy at that time. And he since, went back on it. But like, of course you're going to go back on it publicly to the media because this is your literal teammate. Like you can't, you got to do what you got to do there. But maybe he doesn't. Maybe he wants to be playing with other people. Maybe he wants a trade to happen. And maybe this is his way of saying like, hey, like I want kind of more of that like front office, like say in the front office, like I want to be able to help that. That's what I'm saying. Where like, he's like, I'm the face of the franchise. Like there's not problems yet, but like, hey, like this is getting reported out here just so don't feel too comfortable.
I mean, also, another thing is, what is that supposed to mean Dwayne Wade is concerned about Donovan Mitchell staying with the Utah Jazz for the long term? I mean, you're keeping this guy until he's 28 years old, assuming he doesn't opt into his option at the end of the 2025-2026 season, which I'm assuming he won't because the salary cap's going to look significantly different by then.
Hopefully.
It's just... I don't know, like you're keeping Donovan Mitchell just signed a contract extension. It's going to keep him there until he's at least 28. And the Utah Jazz so far have shown me that they're the type of team that, you're in a smaller market, but you're playing for passionate fans. And clearly the general manager over there knows what he's doing. If he was able to draft Donovan Mitchell, trade for Mike Conley, put a bunch of shooters around him, find the right, I don't know if he was the one that found Quinn Snyder, but the Utah Jazz are beautifully constructed. They made the right moves despite having the small market disadvantage.
I agree. They're a great regular season team.
I think I see what you did there. I think they obviously have some work that needs to be done. This year, primarily the thing that at least was obvious to me is they need to find a versatile big man to make sure that Terrence Mann doesn't happen again. So they don't have to depend on Rudy Gobert all the time. It's great to have a traditional center, but to be overly dependent on that traditional center is, in my opinion, what I think screwed them over. And if they could find some more versatility in their lineups, then I think moving forward, they'll be okay.
But to play the advocate, that's the way their roster is constructed. They built their roster around Rudy Gobert. That's what their defense is designed to do. And it's kind of like if you can exploit that, we're just kind of in trouble.
I think they need, like we talked about last time, I think they need more perimeter defense. I think you can't be having Donovan Mitchell, Mike Conley, Jordan Clarkson.
Agreed.
These guys on top of having Joe Ingles out there, your guys are getting burned. You need a guy that you can put on, that's a defensive stopper, basically.
Did you see Mitchell's reaction post-game to Terrence Mann dropping 39 or however many points he dropped? He just kind of has this confused look on his face where he's like, he only missed 6 shots? He dropped 39? I'm not saying that was like a shot at Gobert, but that was just something funny that I really wanted to include. And when we look at the Jazz, under contract for next season right now, not counting any options or anything or whatever, they have Rudy Gobert, they have Mitchell, they got Bojan, they got Ingles, they got Clarkson, Favors, Royce O'Neal, and then kind of a bunch of minimum salary players. So, this offseason, their GM, their VP, definitely going to have their work cut out for them. I'm with you guys, though. It's hard for me to see Mitchell really leaving anytime soon. But at the same time, I really want to agree with Kuzma, because Kuzma said it's going to take a trailblazer. And I think that trailblazer is going to reap just an unreal reward. So it took LeBron. How many years did it take LeBron? How many years did LeBron spend in Cleveland? So LeBron spent 7 years in Cleveland. If you ask me, he accomplished a lot. But there's no secret he could have accomplished more elsewhere with a roster that was better built. Imagine if Luka wants to become the GOAT, or Zion, one of these guys wants to be the GOAT. They leave very early in their contracts. I don't know how they do it. They take the player option, or they put their front office in a place where they really have no choice, and they go to another team and they build one of these big threes, one of these super teams, and they start padding their resume early with some legit hardware. I'm talking rings before they're 26. They could get 2 or something like that. All of a sudden, these guys are getting propelled even higher than what they already are. So
absolutely.
I don't know.
I agree. Luka is a guy that if I was another young star in the NBA, I'd be looking at him, because it's the perfect storm that's going on right now. Front office dysfunction. Doesn't reports that he doesn't love playing with Kristaps Porzingis. He's already first team All NBA at the age of 22. He is that guy that they're going to be looking at and being like, okay, Luka, let's see. He
took the Clippers to 7 healthy.
Yeah, and look at the Clippers now too. Exactly. Clippers healthy. Yeah, Luka does that. That's an interesting effect, and that we will see some craziness happen, because if you take that option, then your team has to trade you, right? You can't just let Luka Doncic walk for getting nothing. And also, that means come trade deadline, Luka probably, again, you don't get put on the max contract. I'm not exactly sure what contract you get put on. I know it's maybe around 1/3 to. I want to look this up by next pod so that I could, but I know it is significantly less. So let's say Luka's making 18 million or something, or 20 million or whatever on whatever contract that he'd be on. Okay. That is a tradable contract that could swing that championship right away. You go to the trade deadline.
You're right.
They're literally going to be okay, we need to get value out of Luka. Boom, this team is willing to give up, young assets and young picks or whatever. Let's say it was the Golden State Warriors this year or something. They're okay, boom, here's Wiseman. And if they had a healthy Clay, I'm just saying boom, they get Luka. I'm saying not exactly that situation, but there very well could be a situation where if Luka took that option, where that season, that might not even be the season the team he ends up staying on. It could be a Toronto Raptors Kawhi situation. But that one season, he could be moved around the trade deadline or whenever he's allowed to be traded, and he could win a championship with that team.
It makes me think about the thing that the player that I think about the most in this scenario is when Shaq hit free agency. 4 years into his career, signed with the Los Angeles Lakers. It resulted in a three-peat. He signed with the Lakers 4 years into his career. He got to play with Phil Jackson in his prime. Obviously, that happened a little bit later. The Lakers also lucked out and drafted Kobe Bryant. So it's kind of crazy to think about that if the current rules were in play and Shaq was offered a supermax contract back then, which we all know the Orlando Magic also lowballed him, the NBA would have looked way different back then.
Yeah. That's legit a legacy changer for Shaq.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Kobe.
And Kobe, yeah, you're right. So
Kobe is playing with I don't even know.
He could have been on a team. Shaq could have been on a team. If they lowballed Shaq, imagine if he had to commit to the Magic for another 5 years. They wouldn't really be able to put anything around him.
Yeah, because Penny got hurt too. Back then, that's the thing. Penny would have signed a max contract and then gotten hurt, and now Shaq would have literally been playing on a team that their best, Penny's injured. And he's just, carrying this Orlando Magic team that doesn't have the talent that it should have had.
the problem here is this puts a lot. If hypothetically there was a way for a player to leave their team after 4 years, this puts small markets at a tremendous disadvantage, a huge disadvantage. Like, you see the Atlanta Hawks, they're in the Eastern Conference Finals right now. That probably would not have happened if well, no, it would have happened no matter what, because Trae Young is literally in his third year in the NBA, but which is insane. But
I like Atlanta's a pretty good city, pretty solid market size too. I can see them getting some guys, but I see what you're trying to say for sure.
Yeah, like you can't like someone like New Orleans, like, they get a Zion, you get a Zion type talent. It's like, what are you playing for at that point? Like, you have to, it makes the situation a lot more difficult, because you have to get Zion suddenly like into a championship contending situation within like 3-4 years, or he's just like gone to, a huge market that is about to, win a championship with him the very next season.
Which I think Zion, I get the example too. I think that's a poor example, but because I just can't see Zion passing on the money.
I'm talking just New Orleans.
No, yeah, I know. I was just saying, just because Zion's an injury risk, I'd see it more likely happening with like Luka or something like that. But I also see your point. For some players, you got to get that guaranteed money. Word to Nerlens Noel. I'm sorry, my brother. Hopefully you do great in free agency this year.
With that in mind, we also have Ben Simmons, who has popped up as a name for the Golden State Warriors. And instead of talking about Ben Simmons to the Warriors, though, we've talked about the Warriors. Let's talk about a team that I don't know if we've really even talked much about on this podcast, other than a little bit of Cat and a little bit of Anthony Edwards. We have the Minnesota Timberwolves as a possible trade destination for Ben Simmons. And so the trade that I've been seeing thrown around the most is D'Angelo Russell and Malik Beasley for Ben Simmons. Now, what are your guys' thoughts on that?
So very important note here is Ben Simmons and D'Angelo Russell are actually like BFFs. They went to high school together. They played high school ball at Monteverde.
Oh yeah, they did actually. You're
Academy.
Right. I just watched their highlights.
So it's this rumor is actually older than you think. This is like a 1-year-old rumor. I heard this last year, and whenever I hear rumors carry over like a whole year, that just makes the rumor that much more legitimate. I wholeheartedly believe that the Minnesota Timberwolves want to trade for Ben Simmons, but I don't think they'd be giving up D'Angelo Russell. I think they'd be making a package around Anthony Edwards instead. And that's mainly because the reasoning, because one, there's chemistry between D'Angelo Russell and Cat. There's chemistry between D'Angelo Russell and Ben Simmons. I think Ben Simmons and D'Angelo Russell actually fit really well together in a backcourt, with D'Angelo Russell being able to be a secondary playmaker and Ben Simmons being a primary like ball handler type of player. D'Angelo Russell is a great combo guard whenever he's placed in the situation to succeed. And they all, like, Karl Anthony Towns and D'Lo are already really close. Like, Karl Anthony Towns is the reason why D'Angelo Russell is in Minnesota to begin with. So I do buy this rumor. If I'm the Minnesota Timberwolves, though, and if I'm the Philadelphia 76ers, I understand that Ben Simmons' value is at an all-time low right now. This is to trade him for like Malik Beasley and I don't know, like maybe Anthony Edwards and maybe a couple future first-round picks. And obviously I need to make the cap space make sense before I put out any potential trades out there. If I'm Daryl Morey, I don't know if I'm so hyped about that offer. Yeah, getting more shooting might be better for the Philadelphia 76ers, and opening up their offense and just going fully all in on Joel Embiid's skill set might be the move. But I just don't see Daryl Morey as the type of guy that would sell on Ben Simmons when his stock and his value is at an all-time low, personally.
I think you're a little bit underrating. Sure, is Ben Simmons stock at an all-time low probably among fans, but I think there have been reports I've been seeing that there are so many front offices that are interested in Ben Simmons. There are so many front offices that think they'll be able to solve the Ben Simmons equation here. And I will agree though that if it's the Anthony Edwards, Malik Beasley trade package here, then that's not something
And Juan
to
Hernan
explore.
Gomez.
However, I think that if it is more of a D'Angelo Russell, you're getting more of an established point guard along with Malik Beasley, who had a huge jump up this year. Not a huge jump up the last 2 years, but has been very hurt. So Malik Beasley, it really depends if he could stay on the court. However, in the 37 games he played this season, he averaged 19.6 points a game and shot 40% from three. So, I mean, he's not something, he's not a trade piece to, he's not any kind of throw-in. He is a legitimate offensive weapon if he could stay on the court with a great contract. Makes $14.4 million next year, $15.4 the next year after that, and a team option of $16.5 in 2024. So I think a Malik Beasley, D'Angelo Russell trade package is actually pretty good. But I don't know. This is kind of one of those trades where it's like maybe the Timberwolves turned down Beasley and D'Angelo Russell, while the Sixers would turn down an Edwards trade with Beasley because they would want a more established player.
Yeah, so pretty much where I stand on this is just give me all the Ben Simmons stock you got. If you're selling him, I'm buying it. I'm with Mike on this one. I'm with both of you guys, honestly. I think his stock is at an all-time low. That being said, that all-time low is pretty great. It's like the floor of an Apple stock or something, right? I'm really high on Ben Simmons. I think there is a chance that, D'Angelo Russell and Malik Beasley make the 76ers better, especially if Ben Simmons doesn't improve. It just kind of comes down to, are you rolling the dice on, Ben Simmons improving, or if you're the 76ers, or do you want to go for some immediate gratification? If you want to go for that gratification, maybe there's a chance you could do a little better than D'Angelo Russell and Malik Beasley at the same time.
So here's another thing that makes me buy into this rumor a bit more. The reason why I think the Timberwolves so desperately want to trade for Ben Simmons is Karl Anthony Towns is a free agent at the end of the 2023 to 2024 season. And so far, the Minnesota Timberwolves, I'll give them credit where credit's due. They have tried their absolute best to build a winner around Cat, and they just haven't been able to succeed. They tried Jimmy Butler and Andrew Wiggins and Anthony Bennett.
Yeah, you don't get points for trying though.
Yeah,
they try,
they try. Now I think what they're trying to do is just bring people in that Karl Anthony Towns wants to play with. And honestly, my measuring stick for how well a front office is doing in terms of bringing in talent is usually in comparison to the Cleveland Cavaliers and their first stint with LeBron James. This is the Minnesota Timberwolves, so you're not going to get a ton of free agents trying to go in there.
If I'm Minnesota, I'm pressing the reset button after this season if we don't see any improvement. Look, we botched Cat. It is what it is, Let's not botch Anthony Edwards too.
Well, here's the thing. I don't think it's really their fault for. I don't even
it
think
doesn't
they
have to
badly.
be. It doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be. You could say the Pelicans botched Anthony Davis, but if they fail after this season, you're not going to say they botched Cat.
Well, you also have to bear in mind, this season.
No, I'm talking about this upcoming season. But you can't be like, oh well, we didn't have him this year, or this happened. At the end of the day, that's. People aren't going to give you any points for that, unfortunately. It's just the reality of the way things are.
I don't know. It's just I think it's a mixture of the Minnesota Timberwolves really being dealt a very, very bad hand with Cat, especially Cat this past year. We know what he went through personally with losing his mother to COVID. And then you have a whole offseason with the number 1 overall pick coming in. You have a head coach that gets fired in the middle of the season, and a brand new head coach that was, a brand new head coach being hired from the Toronto Raptors in the middle of the season. It was a very tough year. I would like to give the Timberwolves at least 2 more seasons to figure it out. Maybe some continuity with this core, because this team has been injured throughout the entire season. Injuries have been a theme this entire NBA season, and we're going to get to that in a second.
If you do that, you're potentially pushing into Anthony Edwards' future. Look, Anthony Edwards looks like the future, you know. They tried in the Cat era, and for me, I think one more season, if there's no improvement, and I think that's not even asking for a lot. If they're not, even competing for the play-in tournament, pack it up. You tried. It wasn't good enough.
I don't blame you for saying that, because on paper, I thought this was a team that should have been at least in the top 6 seeds of the West coming into this season. I felt like their team was beautifully constructed, from D'Angelo Russell to Cat to Anthony Edwards to even trading for Ricky Rubio and bringing him in. Like, I loved the way the Timberwolves were constructed, and I felt like there was no reason for them not to make it to the top 5. So I see where you're coming from in that
top 5.
Yeah, I don't even know if they would have made the playoffs. Like
top 5, top 6 seed in the West.
If they would have made the play-in tournament, everybody would have been happy. Let's relax.
Mike, I think honestly, I gotta just very much disagree with you on that. I didn't think the Timberwolves had that much of an expectation going in.
People said I was crazy. People said I was crazy for thinking the Suns would be a top 3 seed in the West.
That's
last
different.
Year.
That's
all right. Well, I appreciate the quick pivot to an opinion that you had that was right, but if we're being honest right now, but yeah, that's a nutty opinion to have of the Timberwolves. The Timberwolves were not that team, dude. Freaking Ricky Rubio was
no. You know what? Name teams in the Western Conference right now that you think the Timberwolves would have been better than. I just want to hear it.
5 of them. Actually, 5 of them.
This is an exercise that I'm going to lose no matter what, because I'm going to be wrong. But I thought they would be better than
history or whatever. But
I thought they'd be better than the Trailblazers at the very least.
Okay, well, okay. I mean, I would agree. If going into the season, I would have disagreed with you then. But again, like you said, you're going to lose no matter what.
I don't think they would have been better than the Blazers.
Again, you're going to lose no matter what because of circumstances. Now, I am interested to see. I mean, this is another trade exactly like Siakam, where I'm interested because the thing is, you lose Ben Simmons' defense. You lose that. That is incredibly valuable for the 76ers. If you can figure Ben Simmons out, I mean, I would love for them to still figure it out. It just feels like, and I'm not sure if this is right, but the way that he got attacked by the fans and the way that he got thrown under the bus, essentially, it felt like that was Ben Simmons' last game in Philly. That's just how it felt. Now, if that's true or not, we will see. Ben just said that he's not going to be playing with Australia this summer because he's working on his game. AKA, what we hope is that he is in the gym. He is getting that jump shot form down. He's at least making his free throws. He needs to just develop that, 14, 15 footer. Get that going. I've never been asking him to start draining threes right away, but you can't have people, backing up to the literal rim on a pick and roll. It makes it impossible. They just immediately double team the big man on him. But, if they're selling, if the 76ers are selling and you can trade D'Angelo Russell and Malik Beasley, and now you're building around a core of Ben Simmons, Karl Anthony Towns, and Anthony Edwards, I think that's something to explore for sure. I mean, I think that works out really well.
Man,
you get more of a playmaking point guard in there, but look, I like it.
I'm kind of hanging on to this topic, but I just don't understand how you can say they didn't botch Karl Anthony Towns. I mean, the Jimmy Butler trade was a massive L. They were
this is a F me over here. I give a whole take, and you just go, oh, all right, let's go back to 5 minutes ago.
No, but how could you? But Kuzma, am I wrong? Zach LaVine.
Nah, they botched. Gone. They botched. What?
They
okay,
botched.
Here's where
Chris
they botched.
Dunn. I mean,
they botched with some bad picks, and they did not believe in Zach LaVine for whatever reason, which And they believed in Andrew Wiggins over him. And that never fully made sense to me. Whenever I watched Zach LaVine play in Minnesota, I always thought that he had the potential of what he's become. I never thought, and from everything I've read, I mean, I'm a Bulls fan. So as soon as we got him, I was all in on learning everything I could. This man has one of the hardest work ethics in the NBA. Yeah, he tore his ACL or whatever at the point, which maybe had a little bit of concern. But, in the current climate of the NBA, that's much less of a concern. He was always a sniper from three. He was always, he just was in the wrong situation because the Minnesota Timberwolves were, for whatever reason, focusing on Andrew Wiggins, really hoping he turned into a star. Maybe it was because he was their number one pick, not their number one pick, but the number one pick they traded for. And so they were really hoping that he panned out so that they didn't look as bad, for what happened. But for trading away Kevin Love, who they could have definitely gotten more for at that time, and, looking back, than Andrew Wiggins. But, Zach LaVine, 100%. They traded him
and
away.
Then, look, I love D'Lo, but you can't lose your pick this year, man. This is one of the deepest drafts in recent memory. That's just something you can't have. You can't lose the D'Angelo Russell trade. I'm not saying they necessarily lost it, but so far it's not looking great. And I like D'Lo. I like D'Lo a lot, but if they could have just, with everything that happened to Cat, just, found some way to retain that pick, even if that meant, not making that trade, that would have just been a giant plus in itself. At least you would have had the pick for trade bait or something, to improve the roster. So I don't know, man. I'm just not as high on them as you.
Here's the thing that I do agree with you on, in regards to Ben Simmons, and I think this is something that's commonly overlooked. Shooting, we're starting to see more players that are capable of shooting. We're seeing more shooting coaches at least make a dent on players around the league. Scoring is much easier to attain, in my opinion, than defense. Defense is actually one of the hardest things to attain in the modern NBA. So the leap Ben Simmons took in this season as a defender is something that shouldn't be overlooked either. And that's a huge reason why I think the Sixers won't trade him, because I think the foundation for Ben Simmons is there. I just don't know if the motor for him is there. It's like going back to what we said last week. How much does Ben Simmons want to be a great player? It's debatable if he's gone this long without actually working on his jump shot.
Well, who knows that better than anyone? Yeah. The Sixers.
But I also agree with that, because I think he does want to be I don't know about great. I think he does want to be good. I think he does want to be a player that contributes at a high level. I don't think you lock in on the level that he did on the defensive side of the basketball, and you don't want to win basketball games. So
that's true.
I think
on the court
there
sure.
is a foundation there. Yeah, but
it's the off court work that is going to win you a championship here. And also, I would definitely like to point out that the Philadelphia 76ers aren't walking off the court and having to make a decision at that exact moment. Hey, let's trade Ben Simmons. By the time that they trade him, they could have seen what he's been doing for the last 2 months. They could know, hey, Ben's taking this serious now. Ben's going to come out this season and he's going to be shocking people. Or they could be like, this all happened to Ben and he did not react to this in the way that we want. And that could be a reason why we see a trade. And I think if we do see a trade, that's a big talking point that I would be making in whatever video I make, because, they know what he's doing at this point in the offseason to get better. So they know better than anyone else.
I agree with you there. They should at least know better than anybody else. I'll give you that. But also, I think Ben Simmons is one of those guys that just needed a breaking point. And I think seeing the whole world finally turn on him, out him, and make fun of him for his lack of work ethic or whatever, I think that's his breaking point to where he's like, okay, I gotta prove players wrong now. Yeah, Danny Green even said that Ben is one of those guys. This is kind of a harsh quote, but he's like, yeah, Ben's one of those guys that needs to be pushed. And, that's not necessarily something you want. You don't necessarily want players that need to be pushed. But when they're as great as Ben Simmons, if they could get that push and that's what it takes, that's fine. Not everybody is intrinsically motivated. Everybody has different factors that motivate them. And if this is what motivates Ben Simmons, then so be it.
True. But also, there's been guys like Nick Anderson in the past who have had horrible screw-ups in giant moments. Nick Anderson famously missed 4 straight free throws in, I think, game 1 of the NBA Finals, if I'm not mistaken, and he never was the same player again. So it does go both ways in that too.
Well, is Ben Simmons going to forget how to pass, defend, and be athletic? No, I don't think so.
No, but also though, the thing is, his free throw shooting this season, this postseason, was not only just that was an aberration for him. So that is a thing that can't be overlooked. The mental aspect of basketball is huge, especially when it comes to free throws. He missed so many free throws that he did not want to be fouled. He obviously was playing less aggressively than he was in the regular season. Those are things that we will see. I'm not saying that he's not going to completely turn around, use this as fire, use this as fuel to come out and just prove everyone wrong and, say, hey, I am going to take that next step. I'm going to take that next level and be that championship winning player. I'm just saying that there has also been a history of guys where that has gotten into their head. And, it's basically like in baseball, they call it like the yips, where suddenly a second baseman cannot throw a ball to the first baseman on a routine ground ball just because it's all mental. It's happened where, and Ben Simmons it just happened to him in a bad way, missing all these free throws where I just want to, we'll see what happens.
I don't know if you guys have heard about Kyle Kuzma, one of, I don't know. It's kind of like a similar relationship between Laker fans and Kuzma as it is with Sixers fans and Simmons, although they're nowhere near the same caliber of player. Kyle Kuzma's been grabbing a lot of headlines lately for what his plans are for his free agency. He's kind of giving tones that he wants to leave. We discussed this in the podcast previously, but there's this report that came out that LeBron James and Kyle Kuzma don't like each other. The source of this is from the mouth of Colin Cowherd. So, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about him as a source, but it's still a piece of news that I would like to react to with you guys. So I want to open it up with a quote that Kuzma actually said in regards to his future on July of 2020, and then I'll take you through the rest of the story. So this is directly from Kuzma's mouth. Kawhi Leonard was a Spur for years, waiting his turn behind Duncan and Ginobili. Then he did his thing. My time is coming. What do you guys think of this?
Kyle Kuzma said that?
Kyle Kuzma said that.
Well, you said nothing wrong with being confident, Coop?
Yep.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with being confident.
Yeah, I agree with that. Just like the man is a scorer. He was a bucket, in the summer league. He proceeded to, keep in mind, Kyle Kuzma came out of nowhere, basically. It was, the Lonzo and Kuzma show. People were like, oh, wow, Kyle Kuzma is so good. And he had a great second season with the Lakers for a second-year player. So, that's exactly what I would want to hear from him if he fully believes that he could, go back to that, he's a 20-point per game scorer on the right team. Sure. I wouldn't want to hear anything else. Sounds like a good quote.
I'm buying all the Kuzma stock too.
You're
Ben
buying
Simmons
Kuzma
and
stock?
come here. Yes, I want it all.
The reason why I'm saying this is because this is kind of consistent with the report from BSO, but this comes from the mouth of Colin Cowherd, and this is how the report goes. There have been reports that Kuzma doesn't like playing in the shadow of LeBron James. This is a common complaint from young players that have played with LeBron. It is a gift and a curse because Kuzma is far more famous and has a ring because of his association with LeBron and the Lakers, and he got a nice contract extension mainly because he played with LeBron. Now,
I'm not going to lie. I think the Lakers robbed Kuzma. I'm going to keep it a buck.
Really?
Yeah.
Wait, I think Kuzma would have got that extension. How much?
I think someone would have paid him that. I think someone would have paid him.
13 million?
Yeah, I think somebody would have paid him
If Kyle
more.
Kuzma was okay, Kyle Kuzma and Mike, I know you've brought this up, and whatever. I feel like we talk about the Lakers way too much, but whatever. This is a good.
We
topic,
can never talk about the Lakers too much.
But regardless, Kyle Kuzma, as a 23-year-old in his second season, averaged 18.7 points, 5.5 rebounds, 2.5 assists, and shot around 46% from the field. incredibly promising stats for a 23-year-old.
And he's athletic.
He now
6'9" athlete.
And now he, in 2022 and 2023, is going to be making $13 million a year. So that is an absolute robbery of a contract. You are correct. That is an amazing contract for the team. For the team, not for him.
Yeah, not for Kuzma, bro. For some reason, I always thought he was getting paid more. I don't know why.
If he sticks on a young team, or if he gets traded over to New Orleans or whatever, he's making 20 mil or something.
Easy.
Like, there's no way he gets paid $13 million a year. That's crazy.
So here's the direct quote in regards to the Kyle Kuzma, in regards to what Colin Cowherd said on his podcast, and it has to do in the context of a potential Damian Lillard trade, which none of us are sold on. The Lakers think they have a shot at Damian Lillard. That's sort of a Los Angeles delusion. The Lakers have players like KCP, who's a solid player, but not what Portland wants. Kyle Kuzma, well, LeBron doesn't get along with him. They'd love to move him. He's kind of expensive. It's not the kind of contract you can't move, but it's not necessarily team-friendly considering he disappears in big spots for the Lakers.
I'm not sure Colin Cowherd is, $13 million a year, to act like that's anything but a great contract for Kyle Kuzma is nuts, in my opinion. But what I also think is important is that this is not the first time Kyle Kuzma and LeBron have been linked to drama, and this is not the first time that there has been some kind of bad feelings between the two of them. Remember, who exactly was it? Was it Kyle Kuzma's brother?
Trainer.
Yeah,
I go brother or barber, and it's trainer. All right. Brother was closer than barber. But yeah, Kyle Kuzma's trainer, came out and, sent this tweet out. Here, let me pull up this exact tweet back in day. Kyle Kuzma trainer tweet.
I have the quote if you want me to read it.
You got it. Go ahead.
All right, so he posted this on his Instagram story. Watching Kawhi Leonard highlights from yesterday, no one wants to speak on how sharp his skill set is compared to LeBron's. It's clear who's really in the lab and who isn't. Let me hear the excuses. I'm on vacation. I got nothing but time. Then he posted a picture of LeBron and Kawhi saying, turn the film on. Somebody was dodging smoke yesterday, and it wasn't Kawhi.
That's the thing. It's like, okay, this is my trainer going wild. That he could easily be like, I don't know what he's saying. But what he responded with was, call a spade, AKA, just calling it like it is. And it was like indirect tweets. That was that had to have, it was at the exact same time. And he said, call a spade. It was very strange that with everything, that happened, that kind of got swept under the rug at the time because, they went out to win a championship together. But yeah, that just, the point I'm trying to make is I 100% can easily believe that they don't like each other. And I'll buy some Kuzma stock too, man averaged almost 19 points a game second year. And we've seen guys like Jordan Clarkson play on the Cavs and seem unplayable and then completely break out with the Jazz. It happens for sure with LeBron and young guys. We've seen
especially the Lakers guys. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's just way too much here, then Kuzma goes out in public and says, obviously, I don't feel that way. Everybody knows me and LeBron have a great relationship, and I left it at that. And here's the thing. There's parts of what Colin Cowherd says that make sense. There are players that were tired of playing in LeBron James's shadow, primarily like players like Kyrie Irving. I think it was only Kyrie Irving that got tired of playing in LeBron's shadow. And then you have a player like Kyle Kuzma, and in his case, he has a legitimate reason to not want to play with LeBron anymore. You got your ring, you got tremendous amounts of clout from being a Laker. There's nothing left for you in LA anymore. At this point, it's holding your career back. You need to go to a smaller market and be like one of the top scoring options, or else your career is going to look completely different. This is like the difference between him getting consistent like $15 million contracts in the future or him being relegated to like a role player for the rest of his career if he stays on the Los Angeles Lakers, at least in my opinion. So I kind of buy some of this, although I do agree with you guys and Colin Coward. I think Kyle Kuzma's contract is very movable.
Yeah, and I mean, the guy is like 6'9". He's not a stick in the mud. He's quick. He's athletic. He can move. And I even think he's a solid defender. I thought he improved a lot defensively. His role has changed a lot over the season. So I think the Lakers, have asked a lot of Kuzma. And, easily going to another situation could be the best thing to happen for his career.
I think he's managing his career remarkably. Like, props to the kid. Like, every chess move he's made so far, from making sure Jeannie Buss likes him to doing whatever it takes to stay on the Lakers during the Anthony Davis rumors, which I know you guys might be thinking, oh, the Pelicans wouldn't have taken Kyle Kuzma. It took some work on his part to stay on the Lakers. To winning a championship, to making sure he blows his social media profiles up. I think he did a great job, and I do think it's time for him to move on. And
move on to get paid. Because that's the one thing. He's staying in the Lakers. He got his ring. He blew his social media up, and he is definitely a household name in the NBA. Way more than most players that are averaging 12 points per game for sure. But now, like you said, step it up. Get paid. With all that said, we did cover a lot this podcast. We got a lot of trade rumors, a lot of interesting stuff coming up in the NBA. We didn't even talk about the playoffs right now because we're saving that for our NBA Finals preview, which is going to be what we cover in our next pod. I'm excited just for everything the NBA is about to bring. We're about to be in the offseason, baby. That's the most exciting part for me. I love seeing, all the rumors, all the teams making trades, everything. So make sure to subscribe, make sure to turn on notifications, because not only are we doing that giveaway where we're giving away a PS5 and Xbox Series X, but the content here is about to be, we're going to have a lot to talk about. Like, I am hyped. As you already know, we just talked about a ton of trade rumors, and these trades are actually going to start happening, and we get to actually react to them, which is going to be awesome. What do you guys think? Closing words?
I'm looking forward to the content we have in the future. We really dived into some great rumors in this podcast episode and some very, very heavy topics, but I enjoyed having this conversation with you guys. I wanted to give a shout out to Ray Guillen, Off the Bench TV, and Brandon Scott, our 3 Laced Up Gold members. Huge shout out to you guys. Thank you for supporting us.
If you're still here while the music is cued, here are 2 videos I think you are definitely going to enjoy. Make sure to click on one of them. Again, I know you're going to love it. And other than that, have a great day and peace.